Consistency is kind of a nutcracker, if you ask me. This video is going to be talking about how do you stay consistent even when you suck at it, as I do, as I have in the past, even when it feels meaningless, even when it gets really hard, even when it's working and you kind of want to slow down because it's going so well that you're like, I'm good. How do you stay consistent? So this video is going to talk about how to do that when you're neurodivergent, like me, and how to give up about it. Like, why is it important? Why is it so important? And who am I speaking to? I'm speaking to everyone, but more specifically, I'm speaking to neurodivergent founders and freelancers, people that are out there, they're professionals, adults in the world, and they're chasing freedom, essentially. They're like myself, they're out there chasing a life that works for them outside of the norm, mainstream, what have you. Here is my confession. / a story. There was a day that I was supposed to meet a good friend of mine. And on this day, like many other days, I decided, I was almost there, and I decided to go back home. And so I text her and I say, hey, I'm not coming. And her response to me changed my life, and I will forever be very thankful to her. Thank you, Maria. She said, it was casual, it was simple. She said, damn, no follow through. And it really struck me as honest, as truthful. I was not offended. I was moved to do something about it. So 3 months ago, I started to actually measure how consistent I was. And I created this spreadsheet. And on the spreadsheet, I would give myself points if I did the thing that I said I was going to do, right? So like every morning, I have these lists that I do. Like here's Sunday, right? Where I say I'm going to do whatever it is I'm going to do that day. If I did the thing that I said I was going to do, then I get points. And if I didn't, it's negative. It's negative points against me. And then it automatically shows the percentage, because I'm nerdy like that. It shows the percentage on the spreadsheet, like how well did you do? When I first started doing this, it was ass. It was horrible. I was well below 50% consistent. So she was right. I didn't really have follow through. And I know that if I measure it, it will get better. Because if you measure what matters, you're paying attention to it, it'll grow. It'll develop. That's something I know as an educator. So, quick spoiler alert, it is better. 90 days later, it is better. It's slowly getting better, but it's still progress. And I believe that measuring it has been the big thing that has made all the difference. Brian Tracy, who I discovered on YouTube, is a businessman, and he is older at this point, and he is very experienced in entrepreneurship. And he has this really amazing speech. If I can find the YouTube, I'll link it in the description. He has this really amazing speech where he talks about how he went into a room of very successful entrepreneurs, and he asked everyone, or a group of people, what is the one quality that you all have in common, all of your success boils down to? And everybody across the board said consistency, focus, consistency, focus. Now these words, consistency, focus, discipline, they kind of meld together. For the sake of this video, I'm going to stick to consistency, for the sake of consistency's sake. But it really shows the power of that one ingredient, that if you have it, you have a much better chance at success, whatever success means to you. And if you don't have it, I mean, you're basically screwed. So how do you do that if you're neurodivergent, right? Because the thing about having a difference, a neurological difference, is that your whole setup is irregular, and it does affect the day-to-day operations of living. So whether it's ADHD, it's autism, it's mental health issues, doesn't matter. It will make routine challenging. And there is science to back that up. There is both anecdotal evidence and actual quantitative data to support this, that it is more challenging. So while, people like myself with ADHD, we struggle with executive functioning, we struggle with time management, we struggle with forming habits, it's not impossible. Don't let anyone tell you it's impossible, because it's not. I have personally seen and worked with people one-on-one where they have, most of the people I work with are neurodivergent and or disabled. And when we work together, we dedicate, the both of us, we dedicate ourselves to them and their goal and their progress, whatever it is that they're working on. And through measuring and through discussion and through other forms of, whether it's outside therapy or it's whatever, other ways of showing care, it gets better. And so now we're going to talk about staying consistent when you suck at it, when it feels meaningless, when it's hard, and also when it's so good that you're like, do I really need to continue doing this? But you do. So let's start with when you suck at it. That's like level 0. And this is where I was. This is where I kind of still am. So, the first step is always going to be the hardest. That's just the way that goes. But try. Put in the effort. Put in all of the effort. And if you're not getting from level 0 to level 1, keep trying. Now, my Aunt Annie, rest in peace, she used to say that trying was a load of, it would belittle whatever the determination was. That was her opinion. I happen to disagree. Respectfully, Aunt Annie, respectfully. She would say, don't say you're going to try, just do it. But I base my whole existence on trying. I try really hard. And it has kept me alive, and it has gotten me this far. It has allowed me to make an impact on other people's lives. I think effort is everything, especially for people who are starting at a certain baseline. If you are there, you're at level 0, one thing you may benefit from is other people who are also trying. Because once your reference group, once your environment is in that state of like-minded motivation, where other people are also divergent, whether they're neurodivergent or they're just divergent, and they're all going toward a goal, that can help you to, your whole context changes. And so I encourage you to join the Choice Collective, which is a community of people chasing freedom, including neurodivergent founders, including neurodivergent freelancers, including people that are just out there to get a goal. And they want accountability, they want support, they want results. If that's something you want, there's a link below. So that's staying consistent when you suck at it. Is the message there is try your best. Try your best, whether that's in thinking of it, whether that's in doing very little steps toward it, like just writing it down. whether that's in talking about it, showing up to the community and showing up to an accountability call and not really doing anything about it, but you're showing up to the call. You're in that space. You're in that zone. And so that, I think, makes a difference. It pushes you from 0 to 1. So by now, I hope that you understand why it's important. And we're getting there, right? So we've moved on from level 0, which is you suck at it, and we're on to level 1, where it's like it kind of feels like it's doing nothing, and you're doing it, but it feels perhaps meaningless, right? When the work feels meaningless and you hit that wall and you're wondering if the needle is even moving, right? ADHD brains, we tend to see, I'm not going to say something shiny because that's not exactly it for everybody, right? Everybody's brain is different, including everybody's ADHD brain is different. But there is a certain attractiveness to novelty. And that's not just ADHD, by the way. The human brain likes new stuff. We just naturally are pulled to whatever is new. We like different. We like contrast. So when this happens and the excitement fades, as I've heard this, that's when the work really begins. And so this is when you will need to kick in that discipline. This is when you will tap into your why. Your why. So your purpose, when you're at level 0, when you're at level 1, I don't care, level 37, have a why. Know your why. Know why you do what you do. For me personally, my why is to empower and to connect. And so know the why to your why, which I will explain. So for me, my backstory is that when I was younger, when I was a child, I did not have access to my own agency, to my own power. I did not know that I could make choices that would make a difference in my life. I thought everything was set out before me and I would just do what I had to, and it felt so awful that I was suicidal for a long time. And I mean, I also have mental health issues like actual chemical imbalances. But that really, that kicked it into high gear for sure. And what made a huge difference in my life was finding alternatives. And one of the first alternatives that I was able to find was the GED, the General Equivalency Diploma, which is when you drop out of high school and you obtain this alternative means of getting a diploma. That's to this day, I say it's the best decision I ever made, because it opened my eyes to my own decision making. So my why is to empower and to connect, right? So to bring people together and to bring people together with themselves, to connect a person to their own power, their own genius, their own talent. That is what I do with Off the Beaten Path Learning. That is what I do just as a human being. Now let's go back to level 1, stay consistent when it's meaningless. This is why your why is so important, because when you're like, oh, this is just so, I don't want to, that's when you really are going to remember and do what you have to. Write it down, say it out loud, go in the mirror and talk to yourself. Reaffirm your reasons for doing what you do. If you're a founder, you're a freelancer, you're out there doing something different in any capacity, you gotta have a why. Point is, reaffirm your goals and cut out distractions. Say no to way more stuff, because that is how you're going to be saying meaningful yeses. That is how you'll be able to really make the consistency count for something big. Say no, amplify yes. Say no, amplify yes. Say no, 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 amplify yes. Okay? All right, so this is now we're at level 2. Level 2 is stay consistent when it gets really difficult. When it gets really difficult, it's raining, it's, really cold, it's really hot, it's uncomfortable. We, and I mean neurodivergent people, we tend to be, some may say sensitive. I would say sometimes that is what it is. We are sensitive to things that other people are not. And we are affected by that in such a way that it becomes just more difficult to do day-to-day stuff. The dishes, the laundry, showering, making a phone call, going to work, whatever it may be. So when it gets really difficult, this is when measuring will really go a long way, because you're reinforcing when it does work. So when the message here is, when it gets difficult, celebrate when you are able to. And when it gets difficult and you're not able to, tap into those receipts, tap into your proof. Remember the evidence that is before you, that is behind you, that signifies I can do this, right? So when it gets difficult, you're essentially going to want to remember that you're capable, because you are. Everybody is. Everybody is. And when I say that, I want to be careful, because that's not to say that we don't all, not just neurodivergent people, not just disabled people, we all have our limitations. But just as we all have our limitations, we're all capable of many, many, many things. And so tap into that. Remember that. And that will allow you to get through those hard times. And if you're in a group, whether it's the Choice Collective or another group, you'll be able to, check in with other people. You'll be able to celebrate what you did do. You'll be able to be like, I got a win this week. You'll be able to get affirmed, whether it's the daily affirmations or some other benefit of the community that you're in. And I absolutely would love to welcome you personally to the Choice Collective. So if you do join from this video, let me know. I will be so happy to bring you in and onboard you and show you around and show you to people and do the things. Now, level 3. Level 3 is like, okay, I got this, right? This is now when you're like 85% consistent, 90% consistent. Maybe you don't need to measure it. Maybe you should. But don't stop doing it. Because, now this goes back to the Brian Tracy thing. Don't stop doing it, because it's still, regardless of how good, successful you are, it's a muscle. It is a muscle. And if you stop being consistent, it will atrophy. It will give up. Momentum is precious. So when you do get good at it, re-energize yourself. If you want novelty, re-energize yourself. Go harder. Double down. It's working now. Don't give up now. Don't give up now. Keep going. Do better. Okay. P.S. If it's not working, if it's not giving you the results that you thought it would, but you're now at like full consistency mode, then analyze the problem, really zero in, identify what the problem is, make that your priority. Ray Dalio talks about this in Principles. He talks about identify the problem, deal with it, because that's the thing that will be the leverage that will take you, the founder, the freelancer, into the next level. Okay, so now I'm going to wrap it up. Okay, so I told you the spoiler alert. I did get better at consistency. And after 90 days of measuring every day how consistent, what percentage of consistency was I that day, and tracking it by week, tracking it by month, I have gone from below 50% to above 50%. So the last time I checked, it was 55% consistent. like I said, slow as a snail. But, what is it, the tortoise and the hare? Doesn't the tortoise win the race? Listen, I think we all go at our own pace. I'm not comparing myself to any other person out there. So don't fall into the comparison trap with other people. If you want to be competitive as much as you like. And you can, use other people as like a reference guide, kind of, like I think that can be healthy-ish, depending on how you do it. But there are ways of competing against yourself that I would say are better. So, yeah. And I will add that after 3 months of tracking my consistency, I have also, coincidentally, and not ironically at all, I have been consistent with posting on YouTube. So every Thursday, I post on YouTube. So go me, go you, let's get it, 2025, okay, whatever year you're watching this, let's get it. And feel free to join the Choice Collective, where there will be, my consistency tracker will be available to you. And you can get on weekly accountability calls. You can benefit from the daily affirmations that I put together. You can even request resources that are made on demand. That's it. Thanks for watching.